So our next speaker is Winston Stona. He's an icon in the Caribbean agribusiness. So we're very fortunate to have him here. He has done wonderful work. We have tried in the past, I think, as Isolina was saying, to invite him. I think he came once or so, but we're really happy that he can join us today. So I'm sure you'll find his presentation very informative and very exciting. So without any further ado, Winston, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, all. Let me first apologize to you for wearing dark glasses. I'm not trying to be Ray Charles, but if I remove them, you all look like a pleasant blur because I have a problem with glare. So, first of all, I want to share the strategic approach to branding Jamaican jerk. Jamaican jerk is a seasoning made from select herbs and spices grown in Jamaica. And it is becoming increasingly popular in the world today because what it affords is use on any meat, fish, or vegetable with 1.5 ounces of this product. No need to serve or to season your meat or your fish with anything else. You literally just use a half a teaspoon, and the flavor profile, increasingly in the world today, is becoming very popular. So I want to say the strategic approach to branding Jamaican jerk that builds on the geographical indicator recently agreed in order to drive consumer awareness, reinforce authenticity, increase processing volumes and margins for Jamaican producers, and drive wider social impacts through sustainable sourcing in Jamaica. The key issue that this approach looks to address is that there is a very large gap between creating a new geographical indicator, GI, and creating commercial value from it. While consumer awareness of Jamaica jerk and existing local brands is high, leveraging a new GI requires significant investment, commercial partnerships, and effective branding in export markets. Although Jamaica is a major producer in bauxite, followed by tourism, Jamaica is also an agrarian society, and 6% of GDP is derived from agriculture, while over 17% of the Jamaican workforce is engaged in the sector. And the jerk industry based on exports has a significant potential impact on the agricultural sector, and particularly on allspice, which is known in the world as pimento, but which we call allspice. We're the world's largest producer of same, and pepper production. We do an extraordinary pepper called a Scotch bonnet, which only grows in Jamaica and is known because it has, the first bite is a sweetness which comes into a very hot flavor. Effective communication and commercial implementation of GIs with partners creates consumer and therefore business demand that gives producers and partners leverage with major manufacturers and retailers, drives security of supply, grows margin, and mitigates long-term pricing volatility. The challenge is that it also requires marketing expertise, brand investment, effective category management, and strong consumer relations. The Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, JIPO, was established in February 2002 by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office Act. The mandate of the office is to administer the intellectual property, IP, laws of Jamaica. Our mission is to establish and administer a modern and effective IP rights system that will act as a catalyst for international competitiveness, facilitating economic growth and national development. Geographical indications, as most of you may know, are invaluable tools to aid producers and manufacturers of agricultural and agricultural-based products to protect and take advantage of the distinctive characteristics and reputation of their products which are derived from the geographical area of a region where they are grown or produced. We produced a manual to assist the public in a succinct way to better understand GIs, which is a relatively new area of IP for Jamaica, and to guide persons and organizations who are considering how to file an application to register GI. What is a geographical indicator? According to the Protection of Geographical Indications Act 2004, a geographical indication is an indication which identifies a good as originating in the territory of a country or a region or locality in that territory, where a given quality, reputation, or other characteristic of the good is essentially attributable to its geographical origin. A GI offers protection to producers of certain goods based on where they are produced and or the method of production used. This creates a link between the standard of quality and the place of origin of a product. When the geographical name is attached to a particular product whose special characteristics are specifically due to the geographical environment in which it is produced, it is termed an appellation of origin. It is this special connection between a geographical location and a product that makes it important to protect GIs as a reputation of the goods is acquired and maintained due to the connection of the geographical location. Very often, one may confuse a trademark with a GI due to the similarity in meaning. However, the distinguishing feature is the use. With a trademark, only the trademark holder is permitted to use the mark once it is registered. On the other hand, all who produce the GI product within the specifications set out in the registration are entitled to use the GI on their products, provided they produce the products with procedural and quality standards, as indicated by the standards and practices agreed by the local industry. Several local agencies in Jamaica have focused on utilizing the trademark process to register certification and collective trademarks. Examples are the Coffee Industry Board's Blue Mountain Coffee, the Bureau of Standards Jamaica Made Certification Mark, and the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Associates and Jamaica Finest Certification for Jamaican ackee, honey, jerk sauces, and Scotch bonnet peppers. Like GIs, certification marks serve to ensure compliance with the stipulated level of quality. However, in addition to controlling quality standards, GIs are protected against the use of misleading terms like Jamaican style, Jamaica kind, or Jamaica type. GIs therefore enjoy stronger protection than certification marks, as they must maintain that characteristic link to the country or other geographic origin. The Protection of Geographical Indications Act makes special provisions as it relates to trademarks, where a trademark consists of a GI that is connected to a good which does not originate in the territory indicated by the GI. If the use of the indication of the trademark for the product in Jamaica is likely to mislead as to the true place of origin of the product, then the registrar of companies will refuse to register trademark or revoke the registration along with the requisite notification. As it relates to trademarks with GIs for wines and spirits that do not originate from the location that the indication identifies, the registrar can refuse to register the trademark or revoke its registration. GIs aids consumers in determining the quality of goods or the production process involved. Consumers' perception is key in the decision-making process, and many consumers look to a producer's origin when determining the quality and reasonableness for the purchase price. According to a large-scale EU study of 20,000 consumers in 1999, it was discovered that many consumers were willing to pay more for GI products than non-GI products. This shows the benefit of the producer of the goods that are protected by GIs. This is also one of the reasons why Jamaica has moved to protect the country's name, Jamaica, nationally and internationally. Once a product garners the protection offered by the GI status, it can positively differentiate itself from other similar products in the market which do not have the reputational link to geographical location. In May 2008, JIPO, Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, launched a GI capacity building project in partnership with the Swiss Federal Intellectual Property Institute, IPI, to aid in the development of Jamaican GI products on an international scale. Various initiatives were implemented, such as public education training for producers and government officials involved in the implementation of the Act, and assistance in the preparation of product specifications. At that time, the products identified for protected GI status were Blue Mountain coffee, Jamaican rum, and Jamaican jerk. Since then, several other products have been identified for protected GI status. What are the control manual and the code of practice? The control manual seeks to provide all relevant information to those interested in registering a GI. The first step is obtaining a GI is to identify a link between the products and the geographical area in which it's produced. Of importance is the need to determine how the geographical area assists in creating a unique and superior products, such as the influence of climate, soils, specialized local knowledge, etc. One should be able to discern the uniqueness of the product visually, by taste, or symbolically. It will then be essential to determine how viable it will be to pursue GI status for the product, and this will be done by determining who the main stakeholders will be, their level of interest in participating in the process, discussing the market, and basic analysis to determine possible costs. At the next level, the Producers Association will need to implement controls by way of inspection systems to make sure that the products that carry their name meet their requirements. This requires participation from all stakeholders involved to ensure the highest quality product is presented to the market. It is important to note that the Act does offer protection for unregistered geographical indications, but creates a system to ensure conformity with industry standards. The Act stipulates that any producer or group of producers linked to a specific geographical area or any legally recognized association of persons may apply to the Registrar of Industrial Property at JIPO to have the GI registered. The application should state relevant information such as the name, address, nationality of the applicant, nature of the application, which entails describing what the GI is being sought for, and details of the geographical area that the application applies to. The applicant must also provide details of the quality, reputation, and any other characteristic which distinguishes the product from others based on geography. If upon examination the application is accepted by JIPO, it will then be published in the Jamaica Gazette or JIPO's Intellectual Property Journal to facilitate notice to the world and the opportunity for third parties to oppose the application. If after publication there is no opposition, within 2 months the GI will be registered. The next phase will be the registration of users. This will designate all those persons, groups, who are permitted to use the GI. Those persons will have to apply to the Registrar of Industrial Property at JIPO by submitting a written application accompanied by a statement of case and an affidavit of how they fall within the designated producer category. A letter of consent from the registered proprietor of the GI should also be included. The application is then examined and published in the same manner as the application for registration of GI. The following are the key steps to registering and protecting the GI in Jamaica. 1. Identifying a link between the products and the geographical area it's produced in. Of importance is the need to determine how the geographical area tends to create a unique and superior product, such as the influence of climate, soils, and specialized local knowledge. To determine how viable it will be to pursue GI status for the product by determining who the main stakeholders are, their level of interest in participating in the process, discussing the market, and basic analysis to determine possible costs. To develop a long-term strategy plan that involves the code of practice, which all contain relevant information setting out the criteria for a product to qualify for GI status, and a control manual which will set out the steps required for the goods produced under the GI to be inspected for standards, compliance, and quality assurance. thankfully, there is a paper produced which is available to you, because I really have certainly far more to tell you than I have time for. But I want also just to touch on the relevance of agriculture to us in Jamaica right now. Recently, the Ministry of Agriculture in concert with the Jamaica Agricultural Society and the Rural Agricultural Land Association have introduced a program which will provide land to encourage young farmers in Jamaica to undertake new skills development with a view to create agri cooperatives to produce select crops under contract to hotels, agro-processors, and exporters of fresh produce. Recently, we have seen investments by large Mexican and Spanish hotels and who have made major investment in the hotel industry. And to satisfy their requirements, imports under CARICOM duty-free legislation, large quantities of select fruit now come into Jamaica from the Dominican Republic. In the coming week, a delegation from Jamaica will travel to Israel to look at potential agro-processing partnerships, and in particular, how solar technology is integrated into agro-processing. I want to thank you for allowing me to share with you our process in acquiring and establishing a GI, and there is a paper, there are 3 papers for your reference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Winston. This is a good briefing on how GI works. I think by the time we leave, we'll have a very good idea of how to go about it and advise other people. So obviously it's been of huge benefit to Jamaica, and other countries can also learn from this practice. So thank you very much.